What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise postgame show powered by BetUS. Today, the Blazers played their third NBA Cup game and get their second win in the NBA Cup as they dominate the Sacramento Kings and win by a final score of 115 to 106. The Blazers moved to 2-1 in NBA Cup play and are still mathematically alive. We'll go into what it would take for the Blazers to actually extend their hopes and to tease it. It'll mean a blowout win against the Clippers coming up in their fourth NBA Cup game. But this was just a good game in general as the Blazers offense clicks. They put 115 up on the board, which for this Blazer team is a lot of points. It's a lot of points for this Blazer team. Their defense was porous in the first quarter, but really pulled itself together. And you had a bunch of really good offensive performances from players across the board tonight that I'm excited to get into. And you guys can vote for the player of the game in the chat poll. Chat, hopefully you guys had a good Thanksgiving. Eric, hopefully you had a good Thanksgiving. How's it going, man?
Oh, good. The score.
I know it is. Yeah,
okay,
I'm
guys.
right now.
Yeah, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving as well. Let us know in chat how everyone's Thanksgiving was. Hope it was good. And yeah, this Blazer game was very nice as well. A lot of good performances to talk about. I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, man, this was a fun game, and this is, it would have been a good tanking loss. I know some people are on board with the tank already, but still, it's game number 20, still very early in the season, and the Blazers, you're just looking for development, you're looking for players looking good, you're looking for some of these young players to build chemistry. Today was also interesting as you had Blazer trade rumors about multiple different Blazers players. We're going to get into that in this stream as well, as normally we wait 20 games, and this is game number 20, so now is a good time to get into some of that stuff later on in the stream. Shout out to you if you were around for Wednesday. We unveiled our first big boards, but I don't know. Do we do a tankathon today? I mean, we won pretty resoundingly and are sitting here at 8-12. What do you say, Chad? Do we do a tankathon? Eric, what do you think?
I was in favor of doing Tankathon after every game this year, but I'm fine either way.
Chat, let us know. We'll go with what you guys go with, but yeah, man, really impressive win from your Portland Trail Blazers. The Sacramento Kings team is just, they are stuck in mud, it seems like. I know they were missing DeMar DeRozan, but they're 9-11 on the season. They're 0-3 in NBA Cup play. They signed Jay Crowder off the streets and start him. And he didn't even play that bad, but you know things are tough when you're signing somebody off the streets and immediately starting him like the day that you sign him, which is what they did with Jay Crowder a couple days ago. De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis both show up. Malik Monk has 29 off the bench and 9 assists. Nobody else showed up for the Kings. The Blazers, meanwhile, get a team effort. You got 26 from Ayton, 21 from Simons, 20 from Avdija, which is a season high for him. Delano Banton, 17 off the bench. Shaedon Sharpe didn't do much early on in this game, kind of struggled from this game, 0 for 6 from 3, but did come alive late with a couple of buckets and did contribute 5 assists of his own. Kamara had a 4 for 8 shooting day, 11 points. It was a good collective effort from those 6 Blazer players. Delano Banton came in and gave the Blazers a spark offensively in the first half, kind of changed the tide of this game. And DeAndre Ayton in the second game back maybe raised his trade value ever so slightly, which is always good news. There's a lot to talk about, Eric, and I'll let you lead the way.
Yeah, just I think one of the most important things of this game was just Deni's continued, I wouldn't call it breakout, but just kind of getting back to normal Deni things on both ends. I just think that's really important for this team moving forward, and good to have him hit some threes there in the third quarter and just really have a good game. And I think it's starting to maybe not matter with his role, whether he starts or comes off the bench or whatever. I think as long as he's being aggressive and playing the way he does, I just think he needs to be on the floor for as many minutes as you can handle. Obviously, you don't want to play over 40 like I think he did last game. But, he should be getting 30 minutes a game probably.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the Blazers, I think you got to get this dude starting by the end of the year. We've talked about Jeremy Grant trades, and Jeremy Grant misses this game. And honestly, even when the Blazers have been winning with Jeremy Grant, he hasn't been contributing much to their offense. He hasn't been all too efficient this year, and has just been struggling to shoot the ball. So you see somebody do the things that Deni does, and there's a reason why the Blazers gave up 2 first-round picks for him. And for those of you that were not familiar with Deni Avdija before now, this is exactly why the Blazers gave up 2 first-round picks for Deni Avdija. He does it all, man. And I told you guys, he's better than how he played early in the season. He had some struggles getting used to a new situation, new team. And I know as sports fans, it is really tough to be patient, but we just needed to have patience with Deni Avdija. And now he's finally showing us exactly why the Blazers give up 2 first-round picks for him. And he's showing us that he is definitely a long-term starter on this team, man, because his play the past few days, he just brings a different element to this team and whatever team he's on just because of his skill set, his speed, the things he can do on both ends of the floor, the rebounding. The Blazers were better there today. They had really struggled recently. And all this is why he is today's player of the game. 20 points, 9 boards, 5 assists. Player of the game as voted on in chat. And I thought it was going to be close because you had some good performances today. Ayton had a good performance today. Simons did some things. But Avdija gets 64% of the vote for player of the game from our live chat. And he helps out this team rebounding. That's been a major sore spot this year. But it's just nice having a forward that you see 5 assists and it's not really a surprise. And also, like I said, in November, he's shooting a good 3-ball. He's shooting like 36%, 37%. After this game, it's probably a little bit higher. So he had a slump to start the season where he could not buy a 3. And now his shot looks dialed in and he's back to shooting kind of the same 3-point shot efficiency as he did in Washington. And that's great news because he's in year 5. His first 3 years, he really struggled behind the arc. And in year 4, he broke out. In year 4, his 3-point percentage went up from 30% to 37%. But when you look at that, it's only one season where he shot above like 30, 31% from 3. And when he started this year struggling that badly, was last year an outlier? Was last year just a fluke? Is he actually a 30% 3-point shooter? And he was shooting worse than that. I still think on the season his 3-point shooting isn't necessarily great, but I was legitimately worried about that. But now if you just take out his first few games playing for a new team, new environment, start of the season, so probably some rust there. You take those out, he's shooting the 3-ball exactly like he shot it last year. And if that's the 3-point ball that Deni Avdija can shoot on top of all the other things that he's doing, which he's slowly kind of getting better at doing some of these things in a new situation on a new team, it's just phenomenal stuff, man, because Blazers give up a lot for this guy, and they definitely need some good return on value here because you're bringing in a guy on a really good contract the next 4 years and does a lot of unique things and is just a fun player all around, and I'm enjoying watching him right now.
Yeah, and I think what has helped with Scoot and Anthony both missing games recently, get him a little bit more involved as a ball handler. And but I think they're doing a much better job of letting him bring the ball up sometimes, letting him run the offense. They're still not running a lot of plays off ball for like our shooters like Sharpen and Anthony, but I just think the switch has been when they started letting Deni control the offense a little more, and hopefully that doesn't go away once everyone's back in terms of the guards, because I think it's important to have him handle the ball and take the pressure off those guys.
Yeah, I mean, he's also better off the ball right now just because he's making threes and some catch and shoot looks behind the arc. But definitely he is comfortable as a point forward. He had his best moments last year for Washington when he was allowed to handle the ball. Shout out to Cole in chat, says Deni's last 5 games, 16 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and a block, shooting 46% from the field, 42% from 3, 80% from the free throw line. I will take that any day from a 23-year-old forward, man. That's phenomenal stuff. So, yeah, he had a pass to Ant. I believe it was his 5th and final assist where he drives right and Ant, it looked like he was coming off a pin down, but I've never seen the Blazers kind of run this play the way that they ran it, so I don't know if it was something in freelance with Ant just relocating or what, but there was a play where Avdija drives and Ant's running up to the top of the three-point arc, ends up being wide open, and Avdija hits him with this quick on-the-money hook pass, and Ant hits a 3. We'll talk about his shooting in a little bit. And that was just a fun play, man, because it's like, wow, look, you relocate, you have a forward that can actually put the ball on the floor and garner the attention of the defense, because he is a legitimate threat to drive, and you got this shooter relocating behind the arc. Luckily, Ant looks to be turning things around with his shot that has struggled this season, and that's good offense. That's the type of offense that we've been looking for, but also it takes a player being able to make that pass. And Deni is maybe the only player on this roster, the only forward at least on this roster, that can make that pass as crisply, quickly, on the money as he made it. And that's what makes him special. So the playmaking's been really good lately. The three-point shots come around, and it's just figuring out how to maximize him as a player, especially on a hopefully good team one day, because, he definitely is better with the ball in his hands, but he's going to be playing next to better players. So how do you continue to maximize Deni Avdija while also maximizing those other players is definitely going to be a conversation in the future when this team is better. But right now, just nice to see him finally turn things around. You can tell he's more confident. He's not thinking about shooting the 3-ball. He's just letting it fly. He's calling for the ball when he's open from 3, and you can just see a different level of comfort from him all around. So love to see it, man. It's a big sigh of relief because I was starting to worry a little bit until some of these recent games.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to see them run some more designed action towards the basket when he has the ball too, because he's been really good at finding those cutters. I think it was him in the first quarter, one of the first plays. I think it was our first basket of the game, had a nice pass to Tamani, who was wide open under the hoop. I want to see him not only with the ball playmaking, but having a lob threat or a backdoor cut or a back screen or some sort of situation where we have the ability to throw the ball up near the hoop, because I think he could really thrive in those situations as well. There was a play also in the first half where Sharp had a backdoor cut from about the elbow area, and he was wide open, and Banton just did not throw it to him. I think Deni throws that pass if he's in there, and it would have gotten the crowd hyped in a kind of a sluggish or slow start to this one. And, yeah, just stuff like that. But I'm very happy with the way Avdija is playing. There's some debate still on I think it's always going to be a debate whether we should have given up those 2 first. I think Dalton Connect had some really good moments in his game tonight as well.
Yeah.
That might also be – it might just be a conversation moving forward. But I think they're the same age. Like, it's kind of weird. But
So I do have to provide a little bit more context there. Like, that trade was made before the draft. I think Cronin didn't think Connect would fall to 14, and I do wonder how much he would have paused on that trade if he knew Connect was going to be there at 14, because every mock draft had him top 10. I had him like 4th on my big board, but because of his age, he falls to 17th, and it's like, you're guaranteed to get at least a good role player that fills a role with like some extra stuff on top of it that teams need. Why is that falling to 17 in this draft, which is not good at the top? It was one of the most blasphemous things I've ever seen in an NBA draft. And unfortunately, the Lakers are the team that benefited from that. And he's been phenomenal. And honestly, right now is my pick to win Rookie of the Year. I know Jared McCain's playing great, but they're going to get some guys back. Connect is doing this with LeBron, with AD, maybe playing with those guys is helping him get some of these three-point looks, but he's been phenomenal, right? So that's going to continue to be a debate, but I don't want to get the context lost where Cronin did make that trade before the draft. It's not like he was sitting there with Connect on the board at 14 and said, nah, we'll make this trade. So I don't think necessarily looking at how good Connect has been should make fans regret this trade for Avdija, because you got to pull the trigger, right? And the deal was on the table. You pull the trigger, and then things happen in the draft where maybe opportunities were there that you did not expect were going to be there. And hindsight's always 20/20, right? But that's just where I would not look at it that way, because I know Jared McCain's been great. He's a guard, Connects more of a wing, so he fits better here. There hasn't really been anybody else that the Blazers could have gotten at 14 that they couldn't have gotten in the second round that has looked too good. Jalen Wells, the Blazers could have got him in the second round. They traded their picks for nothing in the second round. So, yeah.
I don't think the Wizards do it without the 14th pick because they really wanted Carrington. So I don't think that trade gets made. I'll always wonder if perhaps the Blazers, gave up a different first or something and kept 14. But they also had a little bit of a roster issue because they didn't really have that many free agents or anything. So they had to kind of make some tough decisions on keeping picks.
Yeah.
But I still don't like giving away seconds. I wish they would have gotten just future seconds and had those just transfer to another year instead of cash. But yeah, Avdija's playing well, and he's in the first year of a 4-year deal, making not that much money. So if the Blazers ever do decide to move off him or whatever, I think he'd still have a lot of value.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And just to round out the conversation about the draft pick, that needs to be a goal of the Blazers this year, is to get another mid-first round pick, because there is always value in the middle of the first round. Last year's draft was looked at as like the worst draft in years, and you got Jared McCain and Dalton Connect going in back-to-back picks, and look how good they look right now. Look at some of these guys in the second round. Look at Jalen Wells, starting for a 13-7 Memphis Grizzlies team. He had 13 points, 6 boards, 3 assists tonight. It was 5 for 9 from the field, and this was a dude that kind of came out of nowhere. So there's always those players. The best rebuilds function off of being able to find hard-to-get role players that can do a lot of good things, like a Deni Avdija, and then when you do make your draft selections, hitting on them and knowing when to sell your vets. That's a good rebuild, right? Dalton Connect might end up being better than Deni Avdija ever was, so in hindsight you could say, yeah, they should have sat at 14 and made that pick, but guess what? No, moves are not going to be perfect. If you look at things in hindsight, there's always you should have done this, you should have done that. What you got to do is know when to sell. You got Avdija. He's a really good piece to have going forward, and he's proven that with his play right now. And now it's all about, okay, how do you add more young talent? How do you find the next Dalton Connect? Can you get another pick in this year's draft to go along with what is probably going to be your lottery pick? That's what a good rebuild looks like. So we'll have that conversation a little bit later regarding some of the trade rumors that were talked about regarding the Portland Trail Blazers today. Jake Fisher had some stuff, and we'll touch upon that. I was tweeting with some people, and it's an interesting conversation moving forward. But I do think if anybody had reservations about moving off of Jeremy Grant, seeing Deni Avdija play this way makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, and you sure had a lot of tweets today.
Yeah, it's an off day on a Friday. I got time to tweet today, man. It was nice.
You took advantage of it.
I did take advantage of it.
Shout out to you and Chad if you went at it with Tori today on Twitter.
Man, I don't want to get into it now. We'll get into it with the trade stuff. There's just some wild takes, just some wild things, and there's some mindsets that I want to talk about that some Blazer fans have. They don't have to be in a rush mindset, but we got to recap this game. Shout out to Deni Avdija, our player of the game. We're going to start doing chat polls every game for this player of the game and keeping track at the end of the year starting We've done some player of the games, but I want to keep track of what you guys vote for and see who has the most at the end of the year. I think that would be something fun.
Is this like the golden shopping cart?
The Golden Shopping Cart. Unfortunately, we don't have Fred Meyer as a sponsor, but if any of you know any businesses that would like to sponsor the Blazers Uprise post-game show, feel free to reach out to them. Let us know. I don't know. We got BetUS. That's all we need. Shout out to them. But yeah, I mean, it was nice to see some good offense today. It was nice to see this team actually hit some threes. What did they shoot on the day, Eric?
Actually, they started off shooting really bad. I think they were like 4 of 17 or something like that at half.
Oh wow, that's bad.
But they picked it up. Obviously, Deni hits those 4 threes. Anthony hit some threes in the third quarter there, and got it going. But it did not start off good for either team. Well, Sacramento hit their first couple threes. Sabonis hit a couple threes. We'll talk about when we talk about Ayton later. But they went absolutely ice cold from 3.
Yeah. Let's see here. Let me find the actual percentage. I don't have it right in front of me.
I got it. Hold on.
I'll beat you to it.
Okay.
Maybe not. My computer is slow right now.
On the game, they were 11 for 37, 29.7%.
Wow, it felt like they shot better than that, man.
Yeah, well, they missed a few at the end. They cut their starters out trying to keep that point differential up, but it did not work out.
Yeah.
And they sold Anthony getting like Anthony had a chance for like 5 assists there at the end, and they missed every shot, and he unfortunately didn't get his double-double.
You know what kind of pisses me off about the whole point differential thing is, like, why were you playing your end of the bench guys at the start of the fourth against Houston? If they wanted to go their end of the bench guys, you should have saw that as an opportunity to get the point differential back in your favor, because it's like 1-3-1 team is going to move on, right? Because the only way you're 4-0 is if you win your pool, right? If you're 4-0, you automatically win your pool. So there's a few 3-1 teams, and we'll look at them. The Blazers, in their 2 wins, have won by 14-9. That's pretty good. The problem is they lost by, 35 to Houston? And then, of course, they beat Houston the next night. Like, why couldn't they have played that way the first night? Then we would be talking about how we clinched our freaking pool today. No, instead it's like we still have a negative point differential despite being 2-1 and winning games by 14-9 because you lost by 35 to Houston. But that's this team, man. They'll win some games. They're 8-12. Pretty good record for their first 20 considering it's been a tough schedule. But the losses are like 35, 45, just insane blowouts.
Raymond asks, are you serious asking why the Blazers made a bad coaching decision?
Huh?
Just anytime you question the coaching, it's like pretty obvious, right? They just don't know what they're doing.
I'm a little lost on the context, but
it's sarcasm.
Yeah. I need to catch up with chat anyway. Shout out to Eli Hanna, $5 donation, says before the end then of Deni's contract, what is the most they could extend him for? We have a major risk of losing him in free agency. Yes, like 125% max. I mean, he's not a free agent until 2028, so it's a little too early to even like worry about that. And I wouldn't see it as a major risk of losing him in free agency, considering who knows who's on this team in 2028. So there's just so much turnover in front of us that I would let Deni get a little closer to the end of the contract. He just started this 4-year extension. I don't know what the max, the max is he'll have bird rights. So the max is basically a max contract for whatever his tenure is, which will be 8 years at that point. So thank you, Eli Hanna, for the $5 donation. And then shout out to Conan Dune with a $2 donation. Says, Vegas had us at 22 wins, and we're on pace for 36. Yeah, I mean, we're 8 wins in, Eric. I mean, it looks like we're going to beat that 22 over-under. And this looks like a team that might be able to scratch out 30 wins this season. Now, is that the best for the Blazers long-term? Probably not, but it is a good sign in terms of they're actually winning some games. And they got some players that are doing some things. Now, the worst thing the Blazers could do is get caught up in, oh, we're 8-12, right? Or we're whatever they are at the deadline. Our record is a little better than we thought. We're going to keep these vets. And we've seen this team be competitive and win multiple games without veterans. So it's not like these wins are coming off the backs of Anthony Simons, DeAndre Ayton, Jeremy Grant all the time. Now, today, this game did ride on the back of Anthony Simons. He had a good game. Love to see it. And DeAndre Ayton had a good game, right? But they've been able to win some games without these guys. So the roster should still be fluid even if they're outperforming their preseason expectations. But it is nice to see them actually be competitive on most nights. Is it most nights? I don't know. Like more than half of the games they play, they're competitive in, which is good. And it's nice to see them actually be able to scratch out some wins.
Yeah, still have a horrible point differential. Wonder if that'll start to balance out a little bit. But yeah, it's at least we're getting these kind of games more often than we did in the past couple of years. It's been nice actually having games where we're competitive, and there's a lot of teams struggling right now, so it's just kind of a weird flow to this NBA season with teams like Minnesota and this Sacramento team being under 500, or maybe Minnesota's at 500 now with the win tonight. But yeah, it's just it's kind of crazy. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if all those teams stay down there near us. Like, it's starting to remind me a lot, Tori, of Dame's rookie year when the Blazers were like hanging around that playoff 8th seed. There wasn't a play-in back then, but they did about All-Star break. They started to fall off. It'd be pretty cool if we had that kind of thing again, and then do some major tanking at the end to get some better odds.
Yeah, man. I mean, the West being as competitive as it is, the Blazers could be kind of close to a play-in and still tank their way to 6th, 7th best odds. It's just I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. It's a team that is definitely better than last year, and you can see that. And this is the first year in this rebuild, depending on where you count the rebuild as starting, right? I count it kind of as when they tanked for Sharp. Even though they did win some games at the start of the following season, that didn't last, and then they trade Dame and yada yada. So since the rebuild has started, this is like the first year where you have seen, I think, legitimate improvement. Because when they started 10-3 and were winning all those games, they immediately regressed. And they immediately went down the drain, and they got even worse. And they get the 3rd pick. And it's just been downhill since they tanked for Sharp. I think you're finally seeing some legitimate improvement, and it's because they have some really solid defensive pieces. Their offense has still got awful, but on a night where you can actually score the ball, and the Blazers didn't even shoot the 3-ball well, but they got to the rim. They shot 51% from the field. They had multiple buckets on the interior. They were able to create dribble penetration, had some really nice feeds to DA that he paid off. And this team is a solid play-in caliber team when they can score the ball decently, because their defense is decent as well. Just some nights they will go, 4 for 42 from 3 and be completely miserable and struggle to put 90 points on the board, and they'll lose by 30 or 35 points. That is exactly what this team is, and with Ant playing better, I think you'll see a little bit more consistency offensively, and I think you'll actually see this team be in more games and maybe win more games. I know some people think that this team is better without Anthony Simons, but this offense is the last place offense in the league. Anthony Simons is the best offensive player on this team, or at least just the best pure scorer on this team, and they need guys that can get buckets if they want to be competitive this season, and that's Anthony Simons. So it's no surprise that, the Blazers scored points today. Oh, you look at the box score. Anthony Simons had 9 assists. Anthony Simons had 21 points. It was 8 for 14.
Didn't look like he was going to have a good game shooting at least. I think he missed his first 5 threes or something like that. Sharp, I think, finished 0 for 6 today. but he took a couple of threes early on in this game. But other than that, I felt like they were kind of in flow with the offense. But you could tell, like he had a drive where he was looking to pass like the whole drive. Um, so he was really trying to get the other guys going, and I don't know if it necessarily worked at the beginning, but I think it does help get everyone in the flow of the game, and I don't think it's a coincidence that when you do get people involved, whether that's Anthony's doing or Denny's or whoever it was in this game, we had a lot of people that helped contribute to that. But I think it's good when you don't have players that are hogging the ball or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Who do you want to talk about next? We got so much to talk about tonight. I'm ready to rifle through
Let's
some
talk
of this.
about Aiden.
Yeah, so your guy dominating.
Okay.
Your guy dominated today, which hopefully results in some raised trade stock, right? There was a report today about him and how the Blazers are going to look to trade him more than they're going to look to trade Robert Williams. Yeah, of course they are. Guess what? Other teams are. But Aiden played well today, man. I mean, had 26 points and 11 for 19, had 9 boards. Sacramento only had 11 offensive rebounds. The previous opponents for the Blazers were much higher than that. So, you know, Domantas Sabonis kind of went off against him, had a triple-double. But Ayton had some good offensive moments. Missed both his threes, but got to the line 6 times, which is a big number for DA.
I'll take it.
Yeah, so what'd you see from him?
Offensively, he was pretty good, fairly aggressive. Like to see it. Got some really good bounces his way. He had a steal in the backcourt after he had lost the ball or missed a shot. I forgot which one, but just happened to get the ball back and dunk it. He had one where the ball was loose on the floor, and it just happened to go right back to his hands. And he actually ended up with an and one on it because of the commotion. Yeah, so he got kind of lucky on some of them, but I did like his aggressiveness. And I thought the Blazers passers were doing a good job of finding him this game. He credited the guards in the post-game show. Sharp had 5 assists, I think, which we'll talk about. Deni had, 5 as well?
Yep.
And then Anthony with the 9. So very, very good game from Ayton on the offensive end. Defensively, he was better once he got his butt chewed out. I don't know if you recognized it, but
I did not.
the first time he subbed out, he was giving really poor effort on. Obviously, he doesn't close out well on 3-point shooters, and Sabonis hit those 2 threes. And then he came back in the game and was like all over Sabonis like the next play. Like he was told to not do that anymore. And so he did it a little bit better. He's still, anytime there's like a screen and he's dropping and then there's a rotation, he just has no idea how to recover from that. But it's just stuff you're going to have to live with. And thankfully, the Blazers have better perimeter defenders this year that can kind of make up for that. But offensively, really good. Yeah.
Ant had a pass to him that was extremely impressive. The one where he just like had a bullet pass to him off the dribble. Like, I think it was second half. I forget if it was third or fourth quarter, but that was really impressive pass from Ant, and it was good on Ayton to credit the guys who got him the ball because he was fed tonight. He was absolutely fed tonight. Yeah, defensively, he's the third best defensive center on this team, and it's pretty clear why. I mean, just not much of a presence, doesn't get out, doesn't close out. But he's athletic, man. He shouldn't be letting Domantas Sabonis have all this space. He doesn't need to give him that much of a gap as he was giving him early on in this game. So good on Chauncey for chewing him out. You know, Chauncey's never afraid to chew out his centers. I don't know what the deal was with all the other positions, but Chauncey has never been scared to chew out DeAndre Ayton or Yusuf Nurkic in previous years. And Ayton listened, which is good. So, good coaching, I guess. Good coaching, I guess. I mean, you just can't be giving that guy a gap. He's been shooting the three ball phenomenally, Domantas Sabonis has. And
40% this year, yeah.
It's opening up his game. I mean, if he's not an all-star in the West, that's a travesty. He's been playing phenomenal basketball. He and Fox have been playing great. The rest of that team is a kind of a joke right now, and they just don't have enough help.
Yeah. So Anwar's saying that's not what happened. Billups got on Banton for going over a screen on Monk. That's not what I'm not talking about the Monk one. I'm talking about the 2 times in the first quarter where DeAndre Ayton just stood there and let Sabonis shoot 2 threes. He's shooting 40% from 3. They obviously wanted him to go out on those, and he got taken out of the game. And I was told he was being yelled at on the bench by Billups. So I don't know what you're talking about a different play.
Yeah. Banton, I think that was second quarter where he was going under Monk's screens. The broadcast talked about it. But guys, Chauncey can hold more than one player a game accountable. I know it's a wild concept, but he can hold more than one guy accountable, and it sounds like he did that in today's game. And look at what happened in the second half. They ran away with it. Good job, Chauncey.
We got Diet Bill Russell guy back again.
Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. I mean, yeah, after...
And Chauncey should be ready for Coach of the Year, apparently.
Chat's been wilding lately, man. I mean, I'm making standings graphics. We're gonna actually have a standings graphic later today.
Oh,
so I'm kind of tuning out from it. But yeah, let me chat. How you doing, chat? How you doing, chat?
Anwar's trolling too, man. Ayton is the most versatile defensive center on the team.
All right.
That played in this game. Yes.
Yeah.
Out of him and Duop, yes, he is the most versatile center in this game on the team tonight that played correct.
Can we? So I thought we were past the point of believing that DeAndre Ayton was a versatile defensive center. I just thought we were past that. Like, I thought he proved that he's not. He doesn't really guard shooters, man. He just doesn't. Neither does Klingon, but Klingon is a lot slower, so you can understand it more, right? So
at least Klingon will put his hand up.
Yeah. Like, hey, Ayton started doing it after he got chewed out, so that's great. But Robert Williams is clearly the most versatile defensive center on this team. Wait, I mean, it's not even close. It's definitely Rob Will.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we shouldn't be surprised. We had people telling us that Carmelo Anthony was our best defender on the team when he was a Blazer. So
all sorts of stuff, man. We hear it all.
Like Raymond says, every Blazer deserves a super fan. Let the man cook. All right, we'll just let him say whatever he wants, then, no matter how true it is.
Works Jose in chat says, did you see the lineup of Ant, Banton, Kamar, Deni, and Ayton? Deni was on ball and Ant was working off the ball. It actually was pretty good. But mostly I was beyond shocked Billups could be that creative. That's the funny thing, is that's not even creative at all. Just putting the ball in Deni's hands and letting Ant play off him. But yeah, good job, Chauncey, man. This is the We Praise Chauncey stream for doing the bare minimum today. But yeah, that's the thing, is Ant should be able to play well off the ball. How many catch and shoot threes did he hit in this game? He was working really well off ball in this game. And that's the best version of Anthony Simons, is somebody that can score with the ball in his hands, but works in off the ball a lot and is able to hit catch and shoot threes and then attack closeouts. Deni is really good with the ball in his hands. Play to your player's strengths. Like, that makes so much logical sense to do that. And then Chauncey does it and it looks good. Okay, props, Chauncey. But, like, of course it does. Of course it does. Because, you know, even if Ant missed some of those threes, he's getting better three-point looks than if they just spam him in ISO or spam him in pick and roll.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, surprise, surprise, when you have somebody that can create from a forward spot and put pressure on a defense off the dribble, and you got Anthony Simons out there, he's going to get some good three-point looks.
Yeah. to
But
be,
that was a great comment. Let me just say that was a great comment.
yeah,
That lineup was a lot of fun. I just think it's funny how we I don't know. It's funny how we have the tendency to just put the ball in Jeremy's hands, Ant's hands, especially early on this season. And then Deni Avdija is just sitting, playing off those guys, standing around, and then he's not playing well. And that's why I come on the postgame show saying, yeah, this situation is not helping him play well. And then you look at tonight's game, and he puts the ball in Deni's hands more, and everybody looks better.
yeah. The only thing I will say is I don't necessarily think the offense is any more creative when he does that. It's just Denny is so good at creating offense that he packs the defense in when he drives, and then it leads to kickouts. I don't think they're like running plays for Anthony off ball that are creative or getting him open. It's just Denny happens to attack the middle, and Ant's guy is sagging off a little too much, and Denny's finding him, or vice versa. So I don't think it's like. I mean, the adjustment is to let Deni have the ball, but a lot of the times Ant's just standing there waiting for a pass. It's not like he's being run off ball screens or making a V cut or something to get open. You know, like it's just him standing around the 3-point line still. Same with Shaden. Just a lot of standing around.
Yeah. Speaking of Shaden, let's talk about him. What do you think of his performance today? He was pretty invisible for the most part.
Well, he sucked from 3, but he really got going from 2 in the second half. Had a lot of nice finishes. I think he was, what was he from 2? Like 6 of 9 or something?
He was 6 for 15 and 0 for 6 from 3, so that means he was 6 for 9, yeah.
Yeah, so pretty good game inside the arc, I guess. But his shot looked weird tonight. Like he was pushing it a little bit, especially on his 2 mid-range shots. You like to see the 5 assists. How many turnovers did he have?
I think it was low.
Yeah.
Low. You should have the box score up, right?
Yeah, I had the team stats. Hold on.
Gotcha. I will say this while you're looking for that. Every single night, it seems like we're saying, oh, he shot the 3 ball well, or, oh, he had a good night inside the arc. It's never both.
Yeah. Well, he took some bad 3, like,
yeah.
I know some of them he had to shoot, but only 1 turnover, it looks like. But yeah, that one in the corner, like, I don't know. He took some bad 3s, and the percentages obviously reflect that.
Yeah, I'll keep saying it, man. He's just not a good 3-point shooter yet. He's just not. Percentages indicate that, man. He's shooting like 32% from 3. The thing is, defenses respect him from 3, so he could still space the floor despite his poor percentages because he's just known as a guy that can make shots, but he's so inconsistent. And the thing is like he can string together 2 okay games, but it'll be completely different games where like one game he makes some 3s and can't create anything off the dribble or do anything off the dribble. The next game he'll have a bunch of great cuts and like a putback dunk and won't shoot that much. And then the next game he is just bricking everything from 3 but creates a bunch from the perimeter. And it's like, it's all the flashes is why everybody's high on him, is like all these different little pieces. If they could just come together in a consistent fashion, oh my goodness, he'd be phenomenal. But I mean, I don't know if the consistency is getting any better. He was very inconsistent last year, and we talked about, he was banged up, playing heavy minutes when he was playing well, and that was hurting him then. Like, there was multiple theories as to why he was inconsistent last year, but I don't know, man. Like, he's had some really good moments this year. It's not necessarily like this year's a disappointment, but he's still very inconsistent in pretty much every facet of his game.
Yeah. I still think this offense isn't doing any good for any of our guards' development other than learning how to create out of nothing, I guess, which is important.
Yeah, but also, like, when he's 0 for 6 from 3, that's not the offense.
No, yeah, but, like, what are we doing to get him a clean 3 shot, or, like...
Well, if he's not moving, here's the thing: we could be doing more to get him threes off of movement, but he strikes me as a little bit more of a standstill or like have the ball in his hands 3-point shooter than a guy that's going to run off a curl to the 3-point line and hit a three on the move. So I don't really know what they're supposed to do to generate him open looks because, you could have him running more off of movement. I just don't know if that's really the way he likes to shoot threes.
Yeah. But is what they're doing with him working either, though?
I mean, I don't know if there is anything mid-work for him right now. I just think, honestly, he's not a good 3-point shooter yet, which is fine. Hopefully he is one day. And that's just kind of what it is. I don't really know if there's any way to fix that other than he has to keep putting in the work.
Yeah.
But it's nice that he can do other things when his three's not falling and, like, woke up in this game because this just felt like one of those games where at the end of the game we're going to be looking at it like, oh, he had 6 points and 1 assist, 2 assists, you know what I mean? It was nice that he came alive and had some good moments in that fourth quarter because there has been games where he's been completely absent for the entirety of a game. So I guess you could look at that as progress. And, statistically, he's having a pretty solid year. His scoring is up a little bit, and that's nice. His assists are down a little bit. Tonight will help with that. It's just tough, man. It's tough to I don't know exactly where he's going to be at for the full season because I could see him figuring things out and being more consistent. But also, I would not be shocked if he remains this inconsistent at the end of the season. We're talking about a dude that shot like 32% from three, wasn't particularly efficient as a scorer, averaged like 2.5 assists per game in 30 minutes. And it's like, okay, well, did he even have that great of a season? And that's kind of where he's at right now. And at some point, we're going to have to start seeing like real consistent production instead of just flashes. I don't think we're at that point yet. I still think we're early enough where flashes are good enough, and he has some really bright flashes. It's why he's averaging the numbers he's averaging. He's averaging 18 points per game, but he needs to become more efficient. Those 18 points per game on the efficiency that he's averaging right now aren't a very productive 18 points per game. So, at what point is it, okay, well, you've shown flashes. Now it's time to start actually putting those flashes together and consistently hitting threes, consistently attacking the lane, consistently doing something.
Is it fair to give him a little bit more than less than 10 games to do that, though?
Oh, I mean, no, we should give him more time. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
At what point?
I just feel like it's hard to just expect him to be consistent right off the bat coming back from injury.
Absolutely.
So I'm not concerned about it yet.
No, I feel like you're missing parts of what I'm saying.
No, I get what you're saying. It's just like obviously he's going to have to be consistent, but we talked about this with Scoot a lot. I know Scoot's a year younger, so it's a little different, but like giving him time, or it might not even be this season, or
I feel like I was the only one trying to give Scoot time 10 games after an injury last year in his rookie season, Sharp's in year 3.
Yeah, but I mean he did miss a lot of last year, so that put him behind a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just funny because I feel like 10 games after coming back from a couple different injuries last year, people didn't care that, oh, he just came back from injury or this or that. It was like, we're super worried. Now, Sharp is a lot better than Scoot was last year, so I get the difference, absolutely. And the entire point is it's still early where flashes of inconsistency are completely fine, as I said. At some point, and I was asking you, like, at what point does he need to do this? Because I don't know what point this is. But at some point, you have to hope that he starts to string it together more consistently.
Yeah, I think I'd give him... Like, if he's still having these, like, wild inconsistencies after, like, half the season, then I might be a little more concerned than I am now. But, yeah, as of right now, I don't think I'm worried about it. I would like him to be more assertive and more aggressive. I've talked about that several times. I'm not going to kill him too much for the inconsistencies as he tries to work through that. It's about how he adjusts and how he responds to those inconsistencies.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I also think you could even say next year because I feel like his inconsistencies are due to skill areas such as hitting threes off of movement or off the catch, just hitting threes in general right now, right? He just isn't a good three-point shooter right now. And then some off the dribble stuff that he could get better at, that's skill stuff that he's going to have to develop. So, I'll be a little bummed if he doesn't get more consistent as the season goes on and gets stronger in those areas, but especially after next offseason, where hopefully he's healthy next offseason, and maybe he's still struggling with this because he wasn't able to work as much this past offseason after his surgery.
He has a shoulder injury again.
He has a shoulder injury,
or not
right?
surgery, yeah.
Well, I mean, but that was like training camp, so, but he didn't have a full offseason. So hopefully this upcoming offseason, he has a full offseason to work on some of these skill things and then just takes off next year. And the optimistic side of myself will say, yeah, like, okay, he'll be able to put in a full offseason working on his three-point shot. He'll shoot the three-point ball better. Next year, works on his handle a little bit more all offseason, and he comes back next year and is a 22-point-per-game scorer. That is my hope. I just think he's going to continue to have these inconsistencies as those skill areas lag behind a little bit. Just hopefully he starts to pull it together at least a little bit this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Before it gets too far up the page, Chapel Perilous gifted 5 Blazers Uprise memberships. Those went to Colonel Pancakes, JP Savvy, Isaac 503, Augie, and Thor Latman. So congrats to you 5, and thank you so much, Chapel, for donating those.
Yep, thanks, Chapel. Appreciate it. Good to see Pancakes in here, Savvy in here, Thor in here. That's a name that goes back a while.
You might have read this, but did you read Kanan's message, the first one of the?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yep, we are good to go. Thank you, Chapel Perilous, for the gifted memberships. Now those people can use our Blazers Uprise emojis. You got Blazers Uprise emojis, different players and stuff, if you're a channel member. If you want to become a channel member, click the join button below. We'll have a members night coming up relatively soon. I forget where it is, but
it might give you. So Colonel Pancake says I was already a member, but that might give you like a free month or something. Maybe it gives. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, while you guys got hooked up with free memberships, you can also get hooked up with a great deal on your favorite sportsbook, BetUS. Promo code YouTube150 with BetUS gives you a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000. And let me just say this, BetUS had the Blazers as over-under around 22 wins. If you got in on the action with BetUS and took the over and took advantage of the great promotion they're giving, then you're probably pretty happy today after this win. And the Blazers, I think, are going to eclipse that over-under mark. And if you want to get in on the action with NFL, MLB when it starts back up in April, NBA, college basketball, overseas basketball, they got every freaking sport on BetUS. So check them out. Shout out to them for sponsoring the post-game stream. I'll even do a chat poll. Are we gonna get over or under 22 wins? And we'll see what you guys say.
I think we're clearly still gonna get over 20.
Okay, you want me to raise it to 30?
Riley Davidson says the over/under right now should be 40.
Come on, man. Just stop reading off his comments. He is trolling. He is trolling.
Well, I do have
he wants attention, and you're rewarding it.
Yes, but I do. I cannot. I'm too fascinated to not ask this question. Okay. He said that he talks about how awesome DeAndre Ayton is, and now he's saying that they're gonna. Or he sees Kobe and Sharp. DeAndre Ayton is Bill Russell, Diet Bill Russell. What am I missing when you then comment that Chauncey Billups is an amazing coach because he's got a bunch of crap players, but then you say every player is like the second coming of a all-time legend. So I don't understand how it could be both.
Exactly. He's trolling for attention. Exactly my point.
I just want to see
Chauncey's
what he says.
the over/under should be 40, and Chauncey's a great coach for having us 8-12 with Diet Bill Russell and the next Kobe. Yes, all of it makes so much sense, Eric. Oh man.
Just be a little more consistent with your trolls so it's more believable.
Nah. I mean, he doesn't even have to be believable. You'll still read him off and reward him. Yeah. Chat's been on one lately. Shout to chat. We love our chat.
To the poll question though, I still think at some point Cronin makes it very hard to win a certain amount of games unless we're like, I could definitely see them, if they're overachieving and have a chance at the play-in, like a legit chance, not like 4 games back with 14 to play or something. But I could see them going for it if they were like in 9th or 10th in January or February. But other than that, I can't see too many other scenarios where Cronin doesn't make it hard for Chauncey to win again with the lineups that are out there. And so at some point, I think that's going to cap how many wins we get.
And I am okay with that. I am very invested in this year's draft already. And listen, wouldn't it be nice to add a future superstar? And people be like, oh, it's really hard to get Cooper Flagg. Listen, I think Dylan Harper's a future all-star at least. That dude is freaking phenomenal. That dude is the clear-cut number 2 player to me right now, and it's not particularly close, actually. I know you had Ace Bailey ahead of him, Eric. I love Dylan Harper. He's fun. He doesn't have like any mid-range game, but like just some of his moves remind me a little bit of Brandon Roy. Like the way he splits a hedge on a screen, that sort of stuff. The way he finishes everything around the rim. Give me that guy. I'll take him. If not, okay, you get Ace Bailey. There is so much talent in this upcoming draft, man, and I know people are excited for the Blazers to be relevant again. I am too. Listen, if we're talking about a playing game, the channel will be doing great, and it'll be fun. Absolutely. On the other hand, because there's always nuance and 2 sides to everything, on the other hand, it would be better going into next year with somebody like, I don't know, Cooper Flagg or Dylan Harper or Ace Bailey or Yegor Demon or just a top 5, top 6 pick on this roster than going in with somebody that was taken at like 15. It'd be better. So that's the thing. There's a bright side to winning games. There's a bright side to losing games.
Unless we get the next Kawhi Leonard or something at 15.
Yeah, or the next Dalton Connect. The next Dalton Connect. Yeah. Anyway, other players you want to talk about. Who did we not talk about?
What did you think of Kamara tonight?
1 for 4 from 3. You know, his 3-point shot's been declining. His inside the arc game, not the best, but I don't know. Defense was solid. He was 4 for 8. Like, he was fine.
It looks like he's going back to like cupping the ball right before he shoots again. Like Scoot was doing that last year a little bit too.
Yeah.
It looks different than it did at the beginning of the year. It's tough when you change your shot a little bit because you can put in all the work you want in the off season, but like it's natural for you to like kind of go back to it at some point throughout the season. Lonzo Ball struggled with this for a couple of years before he started to make it a little bit more repeatable. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I think he's fine. I think he's lost a little bit of his confidence. He's still hesitating a little bit to shoot. When he doesn't, it seems like it's a lot more accurate. So
Yeah, I mean, he needs to find a way to become a good three-point shooter, and I was hoping that the start of this season was evidence of that, and he's been in a slump, so where exactly he averages out, I don't know, but we've seen teams start to disrespect him behind the three-point line, and he hasn't done a great job of making them pay, which is a little bit worrisome because that can clog up the offense. He does a lot of great defensive stuff, but it's not good enough in today's NBA to just be a good defender. That's why Andre Roberson is not in the league. Well, he got injured too, but it's those guys can get played off the floor. There's a reason why Matisse Thybulle wasn't really sought after, right? So Tamani needs to keep hitting threes, and it might take some more time to flush out some of the inconsistencies with his shooting form.
and if your shot's not falling, cut more. I think that would be good. Like I mentioned, that first basket of the game where he had the dunk. He had another cut late in the game where he tried to reverse layup. He missed it, but I still thought it was a good play overall. If you're getting a lengthy forward driving to the basket or on a backdoor cut.
Yep, absolutely. Banton, what'd you think of Banton?
Banton, I don't remember anything he did in the second half. In the first half, though, he really came in and changed the game for us in a positive way. He can get hot, and he started scoring, and that's all you can ask for a bench guy to come in and light it up like that. So I thought he was instrumental in getting us going in this game. But outside of that, I don't really remember too much memorable from his game.
Yeah, this was your typical Delano Banton heater where he stemmed the tide because the Kings did, I think, outscored the Blazers by 5 points in the first quarter. They did get to a little bit of a lead, and the Blazers were struggling to defend them. Delano Banton comes in, and all of a sudden the Blazers are scoring points as well as getting stops, and he just kind of completely flipped the game. It wasn't just him, but I think he had 7-9 points in his first few minutes of shift time and had that really nice double clutch finish. His three-point shot looks buttery smooth right now. I'm starting to buy him as a three-point shooter despite his career percentages just because, it looks like he shoots the same way every time. It's an effortless shot. It's has good flow to it, good follow-through. Watching him shoot the ball, it confuses me why he is a 30% career three-point shooter because his form looks like pretty picture perfect to me. So the fact that he's able to knock down threes makes it a lot easier for him to have good offensive nights. So far in his career, it was always, okay, he had to try and drive into the paint and make plays at all times against a defense that could sag off him. And it's really hard to consistently do that when you're not an insane athlete. You're not Zion Williamson. So Banton being able to figure out that three-point ball has been huge for him this season. It's part of the reason why he's played so well. And he's still going to be super streaky. Like you said, that second half, I don't remember him being out there on the floor either. He didn't really do anything in the second half. But he gave you a great first half.
He had a couple steals when their ball went right to him.
Yeah, he had a great first half, though, and that's what Delano Banton is. He's going to give you really, really good stretches, and then stretches where he's invisible, and then stretches where he's really, really bad. And he's a very, very streaky player. But the highs are very fun to ride. When he has it going, he is special. So it's a nice weapon to have off the bench. It's nice to have a guy that can get hot off the bench that you can just insert into a game and has some unique traits. He's a big playmaker. I like him as a bench piece going forward. I don't know about him being like a 7th or 8th man on a future Blazer team, but I do like him as an option. If you need a scoring punch and your offense is struggling, you can throw him into the game and he can completely swing things and has some takeover ability. and he took over that first half.
Yep. I kind of like him as a spot up shooter, not a movement shooter. Like, I feel like, yeah, I don't know. He seems muddy on those kickouts when he's wide open. That's really helping his percentage a lot, I think.
Yep, absolutely. Other players, Chris didn't do too much today. He had a bad mislay in.
Worst game, Chris or Keegan?
Oh my goodness! Yeah, those
They
parents
were
were
terrible.
probably very disappointed tonight. The highlight of the parents tonight was probably getting interviewed by Brooke. So,
Yeah.
shout out to Brooke. Yeah, they struggled, man. I want to say something about Keegan Murray, but do you have anything on Chris first?
That was not the greatest game from Chris. He didn't really do much in this one. And I mean, we'll talk about these other players in a second, but when I saw that lineup with Chris, Jabari, and Dwop all in the game, I was like, "Oh my God, are you serious right now,
Don't like
Chauncey?"
that lineup.
Like, at least Banton scored.
Yeah.
But like, I was like, "Dude, what are you doing? Did you not remember this earlier in the season when you played Chris and Jabari together?"
Yeah. Jabari, I'll touch on him before Keegan. He got some boards. He was physical today. I mean, against a
He looked like
softer,
an NBA player today.
well, he looks like an NBA player against a softer team without like a bunch of athleticism on their interior. So when you're going up against Domantas Sabonis and like the rest of this team is just kind of soft, he's going to look a lot better, and because he's able to actually impose his will a little bit. Set good screens in this one and was able to get some boards. That's a good Jabari game right there.
Speaking of super fans, Tori, we have a Carson Dunn super fan in chat.
Chat always up to something. The over under 30 wins nets out at 51% under, which is interesting.
Ooh.
So it's basically 50-50. I say under. I think they win 28, 29 games is where I'm at right now. 29 is going to be my guess. We'll see. But, yeah. So can we finally say that the Kings messed up taking Keegan 4th overall?
I mean, yeah, I don't know. They got to the playoffs. It was like their one goal that year, and he was good for them.
Yeah, like they drafted a player 4th overall just to make the playoffs.
He's still good defensively.
He's
but yeah,
brutal this year.
He's really struggling offensively this year, and he's been really bad.
He has no upside, man. He only has role player upside, and they took him 4th overall. It's exactly like I hated the Keegan pick so much, and some people were like, "Oh, it's fine." And then his rookie year, it's like, "Oh, look how good that pick is." Right? He averages 12 a game, shoots 41% from 3. Last year's 3-point percentage down to 36%. This year it's down to 28%. And his scoring is down to 13 points. You did not draft a dude 4th overall to average 13 to 15 points and play good defense, right? Like, that's a role player. Tamani Kamara should eventually be a 12-point per game scorer that plays probably better defense than Keegan Murray. You took him over Mathurin, who looks really good. You took him over Sharp. That's your offensive upside. You also took him over Dyson Daniels, who looks much better this year than Keegan Murray. And I think the Kings kind of screwed themselves with that pick, which it might be a hot take because he's done some good things for him and he's in a slump right now, but he's a role player. They made the playoffs. They had a competitive first-round series. They're like the Seattle Mariners. They're like my Mariners. They make one playoff series, have some competitive moments, and then they're right back to being a lottery team. And right now this looks like a lottery team. And the thing is they have no upside on their team going forward. They got DeMar DeRozan. Cool, great. Where's your upside? You have no good young players that have upside. Your only core young player right now is Keegan Murray, I guess, but he's 24 years old and does not have upside. So they're going to have to really shake things up via trade. That is really their only option right now because they're too good for a super high draft pick. And they are never going to be a player in free agency. The only way they're going to actually get anywhere with Fox and Sabonis is by shelling out multiple first-round picks and getting a true difference maker. But they brought in DeMar DeRozan. I know he missed tonight's game, but they don't seem that much better with DeMar DeRozan. Now, I've always thought DeMar DeRozan is a little bit overrated, but they're going to have to go swinging. And I don't really think there's much hope for this core right now in Sacramento.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this earlier, and you were like, they did all that for a playoff thing, and that it is that same thing happened with the Pelicans, right? They put all their eggs in just making the playoffs one year, and it's foolish. Like, I never understand that, and that's why I don't want the Blazers to do that this year either. Like, it's not
worth it.
What's best for them long term, and they could have. We'll talk about this later, but they could have easily gotten at least a first, if not possibly two, a couple of years ago for Harrison Barnes.
Yeah.
And they end up having to attach a first or a first swap unprotected. I forgot what it was, if it was an actual first or not. But they end up having to attach that, a 2031 pick, just to get rid of him, to bring in DeRozan instead. And it's just...
mismanagement of assets. They waited too long, Eric.
Yep, and that's going to be a parallel for the Blazers, depending on how long they last with some of these players they have.
Yeah, so perfect segue. So there was a report today that the Blazers are still asking for 2 first-round picks for Jeremy Grant. Okay, I quote tweeted it, and I said it's time for Cronin to lower his asking price. Now, this was just kind of a vague tweet, right? Like, if they want to play hardball up until the deadline, sure, fine, whatever. But by the deadline, I think the Blazers are going to have to lower their asking price on Jeremy Grant. And this was met with some agreement and a lot of disagreement. And there is a couple different things that I want to talk about just because it fits the conversation, right? It's a two-way conversation. And on one hand, people are saying, they don't have to rush and get rid of Jeremy. They don't have to rush him. He's not. There's somebody that says he's not in the way of anyone. And it's like, dude, they just traded 2 first-round picks for a 23-year-old that they're having to bring off the bench because of him. That you could make the case that Deni is better than Jeremy Grant. I made that case before the season. People probably thought I was crazy with Deni's struggles earlier in the season. But like this version of Deni Avdija tonight, I will take over 95% of Jeremy Grant's games. The only game that I take for Jeremy Grant, like over this, is when he gets hot from 3 and scores 35 points. Which is not often. But Deni is capable of...
free throw line a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, but Deni is capable of doing multiple things well on a night-in, night-out basis. But Jeremy Grant's in front of him. Okay, so yes, he is in front of players. But also, how has Jeremy Grant played this season? He's been worse than the past couple of years. And... he's been traded twice in his career, and both times it was only for 1 first-round pick. One of the times it was when he was still a role player. He got traded from OKC to Denver. And then, of course, we know he got traded from Detroit to Portland for 1 first-round pick. Now, there was a handshake deal between Grant and Detroit to send him where he wants to go. So maybe they could have gotten 2 first-round picks for him if that wasn't the case. But
well, they also got like $20+ million in cap relief, too.
Yeah.
That they valued more than getting another pick.
Yeah. So, but the point is, Jeremy Grant this year, his scoring has gone down from 21 to 16 points per game. Rebounding has gone down somehow. Assists have gone down. 3-point percentage went down from 40 to 35%. 2-point percentage went down from 47 to 41%. He's shooting 41% inside the arc, Eric. That's terrible for an athletic power forward. That's horrible. And he looks like he's regressed. Now, it might be a slump, but he is 30 years of age. At some point, he is going to start regressing. And it just baffles me how people are saying, yeah, there's no rush in trading him. He still has 4 years left on his contract. How'd that work out for the Kings and Harrison Barnes? They turned down first-round picks, eventually had to attach one to get rid of his contract. There is a world where 2 years from now, Jeremy Grant is a negative contract, and the Blazers are in the same boat, and they have to keep him. And I just feel like people ignore the downside of hanging on to Jeremy Grant and not rushing things in terms of he might regress. Like, guys can regress at any age for a multitude of reasons. He looks like he's regressed this year. His trade value is probably lower right now than it was last offseason. The Blazers won 2 first-round picks for him last offseason, and they couldn't get it. So they still want 2 first-round picks right now, okay. But unless Jeremy Grant starts playing much, much better and starts playing at least as well as last year, and even then, his play last year didn't net 2 first-round picks in the offseason, it's just hard to fathom the Blazers actually being able to get 2 first-round picks for him.
Well, I mean, 2 first. I mean, that's a pretty vague thing. I mean, I think they could probably get 2 protected, like lottery protected first. But I don't know about, they're not getting like 2 unprotected firsts from the Lakers or anything anymore. But Evan Sidery did say today that despite all this, Jeremy Grant is viewed as one of the top wings available on the trade market. So
yeah, who's he in competition with?
But, well, like Kyle Kuzma and
Kyle Kuzma's been bad this year too.
Yeah.
And the Wizards don't seem to be able to get 2 first-round picks for him either.
Yeah, Cam Johnson, I guess, who's been really good this year. They're
I would rather have Cam Johnson than Jeremy Grant if I'm a contender right now.
Yeah.
Kyle Kuzma's been horrific. 16 points per game, 6 boards, 2 assists, 42% from the field, 28% from 3.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Grant's been bad. Kuzma's been bad. They're pretty comparable players, given that last year they were both much better and like similar caliber guys. So if a team's looking to trade for one of them, whichever one is worthless is going to be the one that they end up trading for, unless they just like are desperate for shooting, compared to Kuzma, who's a little bit more of a playmaker. I don't think Kuzma fetches 2 firsts. I don't think Grant fetches 2 firsts.
I think, see, this is the thing with Kuzma, though. I think, and this is just totally just reputation, not anything stat-based or anything, but I think people question his fit, kind of like a Julius Randle type on a lot of teams, whereas I think a lot of people view Jeremy Grant as a guy who would fit in a locker room on any team and also, you know, can kind of fit in any kind of scheme offensively or defensively. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. We still get 2 firsts, but yeah, it's looking more and more unlikely that. But I mean, teams get desperate around the trade deadline. It's just the unfortunate part. It's the same thing with Ayton. If they had a contract that was a little bit more manageable,
yeah,
either one of them, I think we could create a bidding war, and we would definitely get 2 firsts. But I don't think Jeremy's contract is a negative. But the negative part about it is that there's at least 5 to 10 teams that I think would trade assets for him, but they don't have any contracts to add up to get him, or they can't aggregate contracts. So it makes it tough. So unfortunately, it kind of limits the market on him. That makes it really tough.
Yeah. His contract hurts the ability to get back as much as people hope the Blazers could get back for Jeremy Grant. The Blazers need to go get the best package. And the best package is whatever team gives up the most. You know, you can sit here and say, we want 2 first-round picks. We want 2 first-round picks. Only talk to us if you're trading us 2 first-round picks. That's how you end up with Jeremy Grant as a Blazer in 2 years. Right? You got to go out and scour the market. And then when you negotiate, man, like, okay, this team's offering more. You need to improve your offer. This is what we're looking for. We're looking for picks. We're looking for young talent. We're looking for salary cap relief. and go from there. That is how this needs to be negotiated. If you just sit there like, we're only trading him for 2 first-round picks, then you're not that serious about trading him. I feel like if they could have gotten 2 first-round picks, they would have gotten it last offseason. I might be wrong, and they might end up getting 2 first-round picks. I would love for them to get 2 first-round picks and for Jeremy Grant, despite his poor play this season, to fetch a great trade return. I just don't feel like that's going to be the case, man. And I feel like people are setting themselves up for disappointment.
Would you rather have one like unprotected first, or would you rather?
He's trading an unprotected first.
I'm just asking, like, would you rather have one really good one or like
depends
2?
On what it is and the team.
Yeah. All right. So Lakers top 5 protected first in 2029, or like 2 lotto protected first from Philly or something. I don't know.
Is one of the first this year? I want a first-round pick in this year's draft. Another first-round pick in this year's draft.
Yeah.
Just because it's a guy that would fit the timeline, and this is a good draft. So I would value like a first-round pick in this year's draft versus like a top 8 future protected first. I'd value a later first. It's tough to say given the like how much context goes into whether a pick is good or not. So there's talking about 1 pick versus 2 firsts is kind of dumbing down the context a little bit. I think if the Blazers were able to get 2 firsts, we're talking about 2 decently protected firsts. Like, one might be something that is likely to become 2 seconds because it's not going to convey due to protections on it. Like, I know New York had like a Detroit first or something like that, right? So there are first-round picks out there that are very likely to become seconds.
Yeah.
It's just, man, like, if you just looked at the way Jeremy Grant is playing this year, he is a negative contract.
Although Detroit's like a game out of the 7th seed right now. So
I know, yeah. That's
might convey, actually.
I know, yeah, and it's, who knows, but the East is a mess. But, I mean, if you just look at a dude that's averaging 16, 3, and 2 on 38% field goal, 35% 3, is making $30 million a year the next 4 years, that is easily a negative contract. And that's the problem. The longer the Blazers wait, the more they risk, like, oh yeah, Jeremy Grant is going to keep struggling, and then teams can't justify taking on that contract or trading for that contract. That is a legitimate possibility, and that's why I do not buy the Blazers don't have to rush anything. There is downside to waiting around, and people act like there's none. The sooner you get rid of him, the sooner you open up more touches for Deni Avdija, the sooner you open up a starting spot for Deni Avdija. His shots can go to other players because he, takes up a lot of the offense. He plays a very ISO-heavy style of basketball. So he's a really bad rebounder. The Blazers have been a really bad rebounding team. He's not helping you towards your style of play in any way. There's some games where he just goes through the motions. There's not enough benefit to waiting, saying, oh man, like, yeah, first and maybe a second or 2. No, we need 2 firsts. The upside just is, like, the possibility of that just is not really worth it to me to wait past this year's deadline.
Would you trade him right now for Chris Middleton and Milwaukee 2031 pick?
Milwaukee 2031 first, like, what are the protections on it?
I don't know. Either unprotected or lightly protected.
Let me look up Chris's contract.
He's got 2. His second year is a player option for like 34 or something next year.
Yeah, I'd do that. I'd definitely do that.
If Chris comes back and isn't good or is washed or gets hurt again, I could definitely see them doing a move like that.
It would make Dame happy. I mean, I think you take that and you run and you hope that you could get anything for Chris down the line. If not, you can... Chris injury prone. He's going to miss more games than Jeremy, most likely. You can eat the final 2 years. Jeremy has 4 years left. So, because here's the thing. They might not be able to get rid of Ayton. Ayton has 2 years left. So you're not looking at much flexibility next offseason, but 2026 offseason, Chris Middleton would come off the books, DeAndre Ayton would come off the books, Matisse Thybulle would come off the books. So you have Shaedon Sharpe, maybe restricted free agency in order to preserve cap space. You have a lot of flexibility in the 2026 offseason then.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I would love to get expiring contracts and a pick. That would be my plan A. My dream of all dreams is the Blazers maximize draft pick capital for Ayton, for Robert Williams, for Jeremy Grant, get rid of Matisse Thybulle, and get back expiring contracts. Go into this offseason with $35 million, $40 million of cap space. You go out there and give my guy Naz Reid a 2-year, $60 million deal with a second-year team option where he's making $30 million just for a year. You have him as your backup setter, and you just overpay him. He's an expiring trade chip because the second year is a team option. And you have him coming off the bench. His shooting would really open up things for this guard. For our guards, I think it would be a good developmental move. Maybe you keep him long-term. Maybe you decline his team option, bring him back on a different contract. Maybe it's just a 1-year deal. I don't know. But, that's the type of thing I would be trying to do is maximize the return for all these centers, have enough cap space, go out there and give a 1-year overpayment, steal them away from a division rival, and get somebody that helps your shooting problem. The Pacers did that kind of thing with Bruce Brown. Then they used him in a trade to get Pascal Siakam with some other assets because Bruce Brown was expiring, but also a player that the Raptors were okay with keeping. Right? That's my dream, but that's probably too creative.
Yeah.
Alex Will says, didn't Minnesota trade Cat so they could pay Naz? Yeah, that's part of it, but how much are they willing to pay Naz Reid is the question. Because if Blazers have cap space, that's the thing. You could overpay for a year. It doesn't hurt anything. You're going to have to use you have the cap space next year when his deal ends. Snatch somebody like that. If not, take on salary, accumulate assets. You have so many different options. That's just one option out of many. I understand why people might not like that option. I'm a huge Naz Reid fan, and I think this team needs more shooting, right? So you got him off the bench behind Klingon. I love the way those guys, the contrast between those two guys. But if you don't want to go that route, I can see keeping Robert Williams. I would like to have flexibility this offseason so you have options. That's the whole point. We might not agree on which option is best or which options they should go after, but this team should give themselves options.
Yeah.
Wes Davidson says, no way Minnesota is giving up Naz. I'm talking about in free agency. If they give him a max, they give him a max. Cool. You did an agent a favor. So.
Yeah, I think that's the best strategy. And even if you strike out in that strategy, it still leaves you with the ability to take on contracts, a.k.a. the San Antonio Spurs, when they took on that Harrison Barnes contract we talked about and got a 2031 first for doing so.
Yeah, you want the ability to take on those contracts and get assets, not trying to get rid of those contracts when you're in a rebuild. One of the comments on one of my tweets about Cronin Lower and Disaster Press and Jeremy Grant was, you can add Matisse and we can easily get 2 first-round picks and maybe even a second-round pick also with Jeremy Grant. Matisse is not swinging the balance, man, like that. I don't think Matisse is swinging the balance. He's been hurt all year. He was only worth 2 seconds when we traded for him. He's not that good. Wouldn't play for most good teams in the league. Most of the time when you're trading somebody and trying to get multiple firsts, 9th, 10th man don't calculate in the conversation because they're just not relevant enough to the magnitude of the deal.
Just takes one team, though.
Listen, never say never, man. I mean, I've seen some crazy stuff happen, but that's generally the way things go down. So there's a rumor about that, about Grant still being worth 2 seconds. I think the Blazers should be willing to budge off that. And if not, then they're going to keep kicking that can down the road. They absolutely have to figure out something with their center rotation. There's a report from Jake Fisher about how the Portland Trail Blazers would much rather trade DeAndre Ayton than Robert Williams, but also Robert Williams is going to have a lot more interest. And we kind of knew that, right? Common sense. The Blazers would rather have Robert Williams with Klingon than Ayton with Klingon. Robert Williams you can bring off the bench. He's not going to cause problems like Klingon might, or like Ayton might. And then Robert Williams makes $20 million less. But for all those reasons, and because Robert Williams is a better player, a better defensive center by far, teams, I could see 15, 20 teams blowing up the Blazers phone trying to get Robert Williams. I can see maybe like 2 teams even talking to the Blazers about DeAndre Ayton. Now, performances like tonight maybe help Ayton's case, but I think the Blazers have to find a way to offload Ayton by this deadline. If not, they probably shut him down for the rest of the year, try and do it in the offseason, so I guess that's a suitable enough alternative. But Klingon is obviously the starting center of the future. I think the Blazers want to start Klingon sooner rather than later. And Robert Williams is one of the best backup bigs in the league. So what's the point of DeAndre Ayton making $34 million on this team? There is none. There just is none. So, of course, the Blazers would rather move him than Robert Williams. But, like, who's trading for Ayton, man? Who's trading for DeAndre?
I don't know. Did you watch him play tonight, Tori?
I saw Tyrese Martin have 30 points the other day. Does half of chat even know who Tyrese Martin is? So, tongue-in-cheek comment. It's, you know. He had a good game. Great. Yeah. Eric, who's trading for him?
I don't know. You need a team.
You need a team. Just takes one team, but I think that one team is going to be very, very difficult to find. Now, I think it's easier to trade Ayton if you are also trading somebody like Robert Williams or somebody else of legitimate value, maybe to a third team, right? So I came up with this trade idea the other day. Okay. What do the Hawks need? They need a third guard. Dyson Daniels has been playing great defense at the shooting guard spot. Trae Young is Trae Young, but they've been playing like Keaton Mitchell off the bench. They don't have like a legitimate backup guard. So
Keaton Wallace,
yeah.
Who said Mitchell? Oh.
Keaton Mitchell. Is Keaton Mitchell an actual person? Keaton Wallace. Yes, Keaton Wallace. They don't have a third guard. Okay. What's a team that we've heard is looking for a big man? That might be the best landing spot for DeAndre Ayton. The Los Angeles Lakers. What's the piece that might get sent back the Blazers' way? D'Angelo Russell, right? I have a feeling a team like Atlanta would love to swap out Clint Capella and would be willing to give up some legitimate assets to swap out Clint Capella for a combination of Robert Williams III and D'Angelo Russell. Robert Williams III, better defensive center. They're not the greatest defensive team and would be a really, really good pick-and-roll lob threat for Trae Young, who's one of the best lob throwers in the league. And then you get your third guard and you solve that issue. I know D'Angelo Russell has struggled this year, but, you know, he's been at it for years. Like, I feel like it's a slump. He'll bounce back, right? And you're buying low on him if you're Atlanta. If the Lakers are hesitant on that type of trade, maybe some of the value comes from Atlanta, and then the Blazers can get a first-round pick and then find a way to get expirings out of the deal and open up flexibility. Now, The problem is, if there's another team out there that's willing to give up, I don't know, 2 firsts for Robert Williams, I don't think you can roll that out. I kind of have a feeling a team might be willing to give up 2 firsts for Robert Williams before they would give up 2 firsts for Jeremy Grant. I think Robert Williams at the deadline might end up having the most value out of everyone.
The thing, Atlanta does have Bogdan Bogdanovic, who hasn't, I don't think he's played this year yet. I don't know what his injury status is.
Yeah.
They also have, I don't know how much they trust him yet, but Kobe Buffkin as well.
Yeah.
But he's been hurt too.
Yeah. But I don't know. How can you maximize the value of picks, expiring contracts between those 2 teams? It's easier to do so with 2 teams than one because you're kind of drawing assets from potentially both teams, right? That's why multi-team trades happen. That's just an example of one way you can try and work things. I mean, the Blazers are going to have to figure out what to do, though. And it's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be fun to watch. Not to have all this trade talk talking about guys to get rid of on a post-game stream where the Blazers won, but there's just a lot of reports today, and I think the clearest solution to everything going forward is you try and get expiring /pick/ young players for Ayton and Jeremy Grant. And you try and offload Thibault in the process. And you go from there. You start Avdija at the 4 then. You can start clinging at the 5 and have Robert Williams as a backup. And the rotation is a lot cleaner. And yeah, of course there's going to be injuries. But guess what? If there's injuries, you just tank. You tank. And you go into the offseason with more flexibility, more draft picks. I really want the Blazers to get another draft pick in this year's draft. I think it would be a failure if they didn't.
Yeah, well, the only thing I'll say about that is a lot of teams might not want to give up a first in this year's draft. It might be more of a premium.
Yeah. But if you're selling and you're selling properly, I think that's something that you go out there and get. If you create any sort of bidding war, that can be a sticking point. Right? There are teams with multiple firsts in this year's draft. Now, can you pry one of them? Right? If I'm trading Robert Williams, I want a first in this year's draft. Maybe a team like San Antonio would like the idea of Robert Williams. OKC has the 18th and 19th picks right now. I could see them liking Robert Williams. Right? I'm not sure. Brooklyn has 17 and 21 and 27. I don't think they give up any of them, but Brooklyn has 4 first-round picks right now. Orlando has 2, 23 and 26. Right. It's going to be interesting to see how they figure it all out. Do you have any other thoughts on the trade talk?
Not really. Just waiting to see what they do and how fast they do it.
Yep.
But it is, I mean, it is cool to see, you know, obviously Robert Williams has been in the rumors over the past couple of weeks since he's been, well, not healthy now, but I don't think most people are going to hold a concussion against him. You know, as him having some value and potentially multiple teams being in on him, and then with this contract, that leaves you hopeful. And then seeing all these reports today about guys like Ayton and Grant, it does get you thinking maybe there's a chance we pull off some good moves, hopefully.
Yeah. I will say this, the market is tough given teams not having contracts to match that they'd trade, or teams not having first-round picks that they can trade, or teams having severe luxury tax issues, having to trade out more salary than they can take back. That dampens the market. It just dampens the market. And if you go through every team and actually like look at all these situations, there's a lot of teams that for one reason or another you can just completely cross off the list. And that's not even getting into, oh, maybe they don't need a center.
Yeah.
That's the tough part.
Tori, that's exactly why both you and I wanted to trade Aiton and Jeremy Grant at the trade deadline last year
Yep.
when we could have gotten a lot more teams had expiring contracts. The CBA hadn't been fully implemented yet with all the new rules and all these teams with the second apron and all that stuff that now can't aggregate. A lot of them could last year. And you should have foreseen the difficulty in making trades with big contracts down the road.
Yep.
And I felt like that was a huge misstep in this process to not recognize that at the time. And it's not hindsight because those of you who have been watching us for a while know we talked about that all last season, that we needed to trade those guys at the deadline.
Yep. So we just sit back and hope, man. But yeah, it's always good to have foresight, and it's never good to just easily sit here and say, we don't have to do anything, because that lends itself to a lack of foresight. If you just feel no sense of urgency and you just want to sit here and say, yeah, 2 first-round picks, that's what we need. Okay, well, that can backfire. That can backfire. And as we were talking about earlier, we've seen situations across the league where it has backfired. So we'll talk more about trades, obviously, in future streams. We talk a ton about trades, and we'll start to fire up the good old trade machine and all that stuff. It's fun to get closer to trade deadline talk, and I am really looking forward to this trade deadline stream. One of the things, Eric, like being in the new house and all that, man, is I stream in front of a window, so like just being able to actually get like sunlight, natural light on a morning with the trade stream. I have earlier hours now, so I'll be ready to go. I'll actually have more energy for that. It's going to be one of the funnest streams ever, our trade deadline stream, and I cannot wait to just sit back here and see all the chaos go down in this new place. So looking forward to that trade deadline stream. If you're new to the channel, we stream the deadline. We have live Twitter feeds and all that sort of stuff, so make sure you check us out on trade deadline day.
We usually go, somewhere between 4 and 6 hours or something.
Yeah. I just, we get a lull in terms of like our big event streams, which is like lottery now, draft, free agency, and trade deadline, and always look forward to them, even this time of year. But let's fire up the Tankathon, and then we'll take a look at the West standings.
Tori, the next time we stream, it'll be December already. We're almost 2025. Dude.
That's wild. It's so cold outside right now. Like, yeah, I'm ready for the days to start getting longer. I hate how it gets dark at 5 p.m. That's the worst thing. I know they're talking about getting rid of daylight savings time and going to like winter time. They need to go to the summer time where it's light till 9 p.m. And they need to stick with that year round because it gets dark way too soon. Not a fan. Speaking of not a fan, are you a fan of the new Kendrick album?
I haven't listened to it.
Are you a Kendrick fan?
It's okay. I'm not a fan of most modern raps. So. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that. I was just stalling while we were bringing I've only listened to like 4 songs of his off the new album.
I'm not a Drake fan either. Chill out.
Who's your favorite modern day rapper?
I don't have a favorite modern day rapper.
Oh man, Eric's just dodging the questions, chat. It means it's time for Tankathon. Blazers 8th best odds, 26.3% chance to the top 4, 6% chance to the number 1 overall pick. Let's simulate it, scroll from the bottom, and pray for good luck. At 14 is Houston via Phoenix. Phoenix is out of the top 8. San Antonio at 13. Utah via Minnesota at 12. Brooklyn at 11. 10 is Sacramento. 9 is Detroit. And 8 is your Portland Trail Blazers. I feel like we get 8 a lot. 7 is Chicago. 6 is Toronto moving down 1 spot. 5 is New Orleans moving down 2 spots. 4 we got Washington. 3 Philadelphia. 2 Charlotte. And at 1 is the Utah Jazz. again. I think they were first last time.
I think so, yeah.
So Utah getting Cooper Flag. Charlotte, if you're Charlotte at 2, I mean, you got LaMelo. So Ace Bailey would be a pretty good fit there. And an intriguing fit there next to Brandon Miller. You got those two at shooting guard and small forward. That's fun.
I got Tijan, too.
Philadelphia at 3, like, they got McCain and Maxey. They don't need a guy like Dylan Harper. I could see them, like, you know who needs Dylan Harper? Washington. Dylan Harper and Washington.
Carrington.
Yeah, you play them together.
Yeah.
That's your backcourt. That backcourt would go so hard. That backcourt would be disgusting. Washington needs Dylan Harper, man. They'd be on the right track. Ace Bailey makes a lot of sense for Philly, just to play off their stars if they tank and keep the stars, right? Like we tried to do with Dame. Tried. I use that word loosely.
Ace would be really good with them, I think.
And then if you're sitting there at 8, if you're Portland, I mean, Con Knipple, come on down. I have a feeling that's our. You know how we did that?
Last year.
Yeah, you know how we did that post-it note, whatever. I actually have it right here where our gut feeling was Edgecombe. My new gut feeling is Con Knipple is a Blazer next year. Okay, I'll put it on the board. I still need to get the board. Also, I need to find my blue post-it notes. Anyway, that's Tankathon. Now let's take a look at NBA standings. Oh, I need to hide the headline. All right, so these are the updated standings for the Western Conference. I'll have Eastern Conference, and I need a background animation, but I haven't been paying enough attention to the standings recently. You have some, yeah, it's very close between 5 and 9, separated by half a game. Phoenix been destroyed by injuries. You got Houston up there at number 2, Eric. Does Houston get a top 4 seed?
I guess they could if they have Kings type injury luck from a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But I really think it's going to be tough for them to hold off some of those teams right below them.
Yeah. I don't know. You had like LA and Phoenix looking good to start the season. Both those teams have kind of fallen off. Dallas had struggled. They've won some games recently. I believe they've won 3 in a row. Not entirely sure on that. And, of course, you got Minnesota down there 11th. Western Conference finalist at 9 and 10. They look like they I mean, I was reading some of their forums, and they were saying, yeah, this is just a stopgap here because they traded Cat because of money reasons. That trade has backfired. Dante DiVincenzo has not played well in Minnesota. So that could be a team that's on the outside looking in. I mean, San Antonio took the jump that I expected them to. It seems like they're 10 and 9. Blazers right now only 2.5 games out of playing spot. The Blazers are competitive. It's funny because we're a game behind Sacramento, man. You know, normally it's like, yeah, we're not surprised to see us in 13th, but normally we would be down there with the Jazz and the Pelicans, who are 4 and 14, 4 and 16. No, we're like at the very tail end of this pack, you know. So still though, they're 8 and 12. They're 8 and 12. They've won 40% of their game. They're on pace to win 36 games. If they win 36 games, I feel like they would be a little higher than 13th. I feel like, I don't know though, man. I mean, I don't see the Kings, Timberwolves, Spurs, Clippers winning less than 36 games. So maybe 36 games gets you the 13th place in the West this year, which is crazy.
Yeah, maybe you have one of those teams fall off and it's 12, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be good enough for a play-in.
Yeah. It's nice that the Clippers are playing well because they owe their pick to OKC. I was worried about that going into the year. I'm feeling more confident now. I don't know how they're 12 and 9 because on paper I don't like their roster that they've been running out there, and Harden has been very inefficient.
They should have won tonight.
Yeah, they should have
They
won.
blew that team.
But
That horrible clock management.
I think the West is fascinating. I know OKC is like the odds-on favorite to make the finals right now, but Golden State, like, can they make another run? They had their dip last year. Can they, can they make it back to prominence one more time before Steph retires? Feels like this is the year to do it. Memphis, now that they're healthier, they are reminding people of the team that they were before the John Morant gun stuff and injury issues that they struggled with. So that's an intriguing storyline to follow. Denver, Jamal Murray has been awful this year. Aaron Gordon is injured right now. They might be in a little bit of trouble, but they're 10-7. Christian Brown's been really, really good as a starter this year, so he's kind of helped them stay afloat. The West just seems, if you took out OKC, Eric, the West would be the most wide open conference that I've ever seen in the NBA right now.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, if you took out OKC, I'd be like, okay, who would be my pick to make the finals out of all those teams if it's not OKC? I don't freaking know. I don't feel comfortable with really any of them because they all seem pretty equal to me, man. Like, I wouldn't be shocked. If it's not OKC, I wouldn't be shocked to see Dallas again, the Lakers, Denver, Golden State, Memphis. You can't ignore what Houston's doing. Phoenix has the star power. And Minnesota almost made it last year. Like, you got 8 teams that you could legitimately make a case for. But you got OKC there at the top, and they're going to be hard for anybody to beat this year, I think, after getting their playoff experience last year.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're pretty clearly head and shoulders above the rest. If Chet comes back healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing is they're still winning games without him, so they're stemming the tide without Chet. They got Hartenstein back, so that's great for them. We're going to look at NBA Cup standings real quick, and then we will end the stream. I'll just go back to the Tankathon page because I got this set up here. So let me move this. All right, so let's go look at the West. The Blazers are 2-1. Okay, they're gonna have to win a tiebreaker. They're gonna have to beat the Clippers next NBA Cup game, and they're gonna have to win the tiebreaker with all the 3-1 teams in order to advance. Okay. The problem is this negative 5-point differential. The problem is in Group B you have 3 2-1 teams. So I don't know who these teams have yet to play in the NBA Cup, but you look at these 3 2-1 teams. One is plus 14, one is plus 18, one is plus 19. Also, Eric, Dallas is 2-1, and they are plus 41. So the only way the Blazers can advance in the NBA Cup right now is Dallas has to lose their next game, their next NBA Cup game, and then you'd have no 3-1 teams from that pool. Okay. And then Spurs, OKC, Phoenix. I need to figure out which teams these guys have played.
Well, 2 of them are going to have to.
Played.
Are they in the same thing? Yeah.
So next Tuesday is an NBA Cup day, and it's Phoenix at San Antonio. Okay.
So one of them will be out.
Yeah. But the problem is one of them is going to be 3-1.
But won't they win their group?
Yeah, so
So we need the other team to lose.
OKC has to lose
there's
to
still
Utah.
2 spots, though.
Yeah, well, no, there's one wild card.
There's 2.
No, there's 3 pool win. It's an 8-team bracket. There's 6 pools. So there's 2 wild cards, but 1 per each conference. Yeah.
Well, I thought there was just 2. It didn't matter what conference, but
Chat, correct us if.
no, I think you're right.
Yeah. We got Casa Bella ads on the right side. Lovely. So Dallas has to lose their next NBA Cup game. They're playing. Nope, not roster schedule. They're playing versus Memphis. I mean, Memphis has been good, so I could see them losing that game. Basically, Portland's not going to win the point differential. Okay? They're not going to win the point differential. Because...
We could win by 60, I think.
16?
60.
Yeah, 60. Yeah, unless they beat the Clippers by 40, 45.
I've seen it happen multiple times.
This team isn't capable of beating a team like that by 40 points. The Blazers just aren't winning the point differential. But, believe it or not, they could be the only 3-1 team. So, that's their path in. To be the only 3-1 team in the West, they need to win against the Clippers. They need Dallas to lose against Memphis. So they're 2-2. And they need OKC to lose against Utah. So the tough thing there is lose against Utah. Because the Spurs and Suns play each other. So whoever loses that game will be 2-2. Whoever wins will win their pool. Right? So one of these teams you can just eliminate already. Okay, so if OKC loses their 2-2, if Dallas loses their 2-2, one of Phoenix and San Antonio is going to be 2-2, whichever other one is going to win their pool, and then Portland would be the only 3-1 team. That is their only path. That's why it sucks that they lost by 35 to Houston instead of like 10, because if they lost by 10, they would be plus 20 in point differential, and then you would be talking about them having like a still very realistic chance. I think Dallas can definitely lose to Memphis, but OKC is the tough one there, man. OKC is the tough one. And they play Tuesday, 5 p.m. versus Utah.
Go Utah.
And Portland plays Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. So we will know by the tip-off of this game if it means anything. That's a very late tip-off time. So it's very likely that OKC beats Utah and beats them by like 10 and is a plus 28, and then we go into that Clippers game like, yeah, we need to beat them by 34, guys. Can we beat them by 34? We ain't beating them by 34. So I'd say there's maybe a 10% chance that the Blazers can get it done. That feels slightly optimistic. So it's very, very
they also have to beat the Clippers.
Yeah, they have to beat the Clippers, and the Thunder have to lose to the Jazz, and the Grizzlies have to lose. Or the Mavericks have to lose to the Grizzlies. I just wish we could be talking about point differential, and they didn't get freaking smoked. Why did they have to lose by 35 to Houston?
Why did they... They should have won this game tonight by like 20. What happened?
I know. That was the other tough thing, is they screwed up the point differential in this game. Like, they only won by single digits. They were up 20 or whatever. So, anyway. Once again, shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this stream. Make sure you take advantage of their promotion. Promo code YouTube150. 150% sign-up bonus, followed by two 125% bonuses up to $2,000. Get in on the NFL. We had Thanksgiving and Friday games. My fantasy team is cooking right now after Thursday and Friday.
Are they?
Yeah. If I win and you beat Connor, then I clinch a playoff spot. And Eric will also have a playoff spot. And we might play each other in the playoffs. That would be riveting.
Let's go.
I have a lot of confidence in my team. I'll say that. I have a lot of confidence in my team. I've been trying to win this league for 8 freaking years. So I think I have the team that could do it, but I just have to make the playoffs first. We got 16 playoffs. First place is 9-3. Second through fifth place is 8-4, and then sixth and seventh place are 7-5. I'm one of those two 7-5 teams, but I have the tiebreaker by like 100 points over the other 7-5 team. So my point differential looking good. It's just points scored. So yeah, I had Bowers, Achane, and Tyreek Hill go off so far.
Nice.
71 points already from those three, so that's fun. But, yeah, if you guys want to get on football action, check out BetUS. Use that promo code. Shout out to them for sponsoring the stream. Anything else, Eric?
I'm just checking out mine. I'm down 23, but Connor, or 33, but Connor has already had 5 people play, so I still have 7 to play. So I'm in pretty good shape.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Nice. Sunday is a giveaway night, and the way we will probably do it is by maybe a couple trivia questions, selecting random people in chat. There's a multitude of ways that we can do this giveaway stuff because I haven't given away much over social media. So make sure you tune in on Sunday if you want a chance to spin the giveaway wheel. And then Eric thought today was shot night. So are you tipsy at all? Have you drank?
No, I just had a little drink.
Before the stream, Eric's like, "Sorry, hold on, I'm getting a drink," and he's like talking about like rum. He's like, "Oh, I thought I opened this bottle of rum." I'm just like, does this man think it's a shot night tonight?
I swear he said.
And then he's
Friday.
like, "Do you got drinks?" I'm like, no,
You
that's
need
next
another
Friday,
week.
man.
Yeah.
That's next Friday. Yes, I need another week to recover from last time. So, next Friday is a shot night. And,
I had a rum and Coke. But I got the, I stopped at the store and got the 10-pack of Fireball for a shot, so.
yeah. Nice. Yeah,
I'll have that ready now. I don't have to go to the store next week.
I know, you're set. I'll be ready. I'll be prepared. I got my Blazer shot glass. I'll be ready to go next time. But yeah, we got event nights pretty much every stream from here on out. There's a couple that are unscheduled. I want to do something where, like, I suggest trades and you just be other teams and you talk about if you take them or not. And then we simulate, like, the lottery, and then we do, like, a little bit of a mock draft and do just kind of, like, a way of, like, simulating or doing a mock, like, trade deadline / mock draft. That'd be something fun. So, yeah, we'll have something for you guys every post-game stream. But this is a fun game. The Blazers win. The Blazers take care of business against the Kings, move to 8-12. Their next opponent is going to be the Dallas Mavericks on Sunday at Dallas. They've been playing better basketball, so we'll see. It feels like a game where they get destroyed, but we'll see if they can take care of business.
Troy, have you ever golfed before? Random question.
I played a top golf. That's about it. I went to the driving range a couple times. That's all.
Nice.
Yeah.
How's your swing?
Not good.
Yeah.
Pretty bad. Not gonna lie about it. So,
Yeah.
how's your swing? How'd you do at top golf?
I was hitting the ball well. We played a lot of like the Angry Birds and Sonic, so it didn't really matter how like far you hit it or whatever, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I haven't been there in a long time, so would like to go back, but yeah, shout out to you guys for watching the stream. Leave a like on the way out. Let's get to 100 likes on the way out. I need to ask for likes more because we need to get more likes on the stream, man. We need to get more likes on the stream. It's the easiest way to support the channel. It's just by clicking that button. It helps out. It's YouTube. They look at likes, the algorithm does, so help us out with that. Greatly appreciate it. And, yeah. We got game coming up on Sunday. We'll have you covered with that post-game show. Anything else, Eric?
Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you have a good weekend and hope to see you Sunday evening right back here.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to that. Anyway, have a good rest of your guys' night shop at US. We're out of here until next time. As always, peace out. Go Blazers.